Dwayne Chapman has had an exciting and dramatic life full of danger, heartbreak, and controversy. From being in a motorcycle gang to starring in a famous reality TV show, his journey is unique. However, what brought this seemingly unstoppable man close to losing everything is a story filled with unexpected turns and hidden secrets. You can find out what happened to Dog the Bounty Hunter soon. Duane Chapman, the well-known bounty hunter, had a difficult youth that influenced who he is today. He was born in Denver, Colorado, and grew up in a working-class family. His father, a Navy engineer who later became a bail bondsman, was strict and often harsh. His mother, a Sunday school teacher, worked to teach strong values to her children. When he reflects on his childhood, Dwayne describes his experiences. Dwayne's childhood seemed normal at first, but later he understood how tough it really was. His father had a bad temper and often hit him, which Dwayne thought was normal back then. He mentioned a paddle his dad used that left him with bruises. His father, nicknamed Flash because of his boxing skills, taught him how to fight, thinking it would make him stronger. But what Dwayne really wanted was his father's love and approval. By the age of 16, Dwayne decided. He left home and joined a motorcycle gang called the Devil's Disciples, which was a big change from his religious upbringing with a preacher mom and regular church visits. Although he didn't see himself as a strict preacher, he always stood up for his faith, even getting into a fight when someone insulted Jesus. This incident got him the nickname Dog, which one of the bikers said was God spelled backward. From that moment on, he accepted the name. In the 1970s, Dog the Bounty Hunter met his first wife, LaFonda Sue Darnell, while living in Denver. They quickly became close, and after dating for a couple of years, they got married in 1972. They moved around a bit before settling in Pampa, Texas, where Leona was from. They had two sons, Dwayne Lee Chapman II and Leland. As Chapman's family grew, his marriage started to suffer. His increasing legal problems put a lot of pressure on their relationship. In 1976, Chapman was involved in a drug deal that went badly. While he waited in the car, one of his friends argued with the dealer, Oliver, and sadly shot him. Even though Chapman was outside the car when it happened, Texas law still held him responsible. Chapman was held responsible because he did not report the crime. He was charged with murder and given a 5-year prison sentence, but he only served 18 months. However, prison was a turning point for him. While there, he worked as a barber for the guards and played a heroic role during a dramatic escape attempt when another inmate tried to flee. When the guards were about to use deadly force, Chapman stepped in and saved the man's life. This brave action earned him recognition. After being released early, Chapman was dealing with a lot of child support debt. He wanted to earn money quickly, so he decided to become a bounty hunter. Interestingly, even the judge in his case had suggested this career to him because of the way Chapman presented himself while in prison. Leonda believed Bear had what it took to succeed, and it seemed like a new beginning. However, the challenges they faced became too much for Bear. By 1977, Leonda decided to file for divorce, and they went their separate ways for good. After the divorce, Chapman was looking for a new partner. He wrote in his book that he met Teal at a biker party in Colorado that same year, and they connected right away. Chapman mentioned that they left the party together that night after he made her an offer. He drove her home, and she said she was only 17 to avoid going back to jail. The next day, he married her. Later, Chapman said they didn't really know each other well and probably wouldn't have married if she hadn't been underage. Despite their imperfect marriage, Chapman and Tennell had 3 children. Sadly, their first child, Zebediah, died shortly after birth. They also had two sons named Wesley, and James and his partner couldn't handle the pressure of their relationship and divorced in 1982. After the divorce, Chapman faced a difficult time losing custody of his kids. However, he was determined to reconnect with his other children, Dwayne, Lee, and Leland. He traveled to Colorado, where he met Lisa Ray Brittain in a bar. He boldly told her that he wanted to have a child with her. Lisa was offered money to do something, and surprisingly, she agreed. She left her husband and married Chapman, and they had 3 kids together. However, their marriage didn't work out because they weren't a good match. Chapman wanted a glamorous Hollywood life, while Lisa liked a peaceful life in the woods. Their differences drove them apart, and they divorced in 1991, leaving Chapman single again. Chapman Dog's next wife, Tawny, came into his life while he was still married to Lisa Brittain. In his book, he says their story started in 1988 when Dog caught Tawny for having drugs. A few years later, he hired her as his secretary, and soon they began a love relationship. Tawny wanted a serious relationship, but Dog didn't want anything that lasted a long time. Eventually, after a lot of pressure, he agreed to marry her. Their relationship had a difficult beginning. Tawny had a hard time with drugs again, and Dog confessed to cheating. Things got worse after Dog's mother died, leading him to sadness and drug abuse. While still married to Tawny, Dog starts a relationship with Beth Smith, causing his marriage to Tawny to fall apart. Beth Smith is recognized as the wife and partner of Dog the Bounty Hunter, but their story began years before they became famous. When Beth and the other person first met in 1988, she was running away from the police. She later said her problems began when someone accused her of taking 2 lemons from a grocery store. She stepped out with the lemons to make a call at a payphone and got jailed. To make things more difficult, Beth had a gun that she wasn't allowed to carry and also had a lot of unpaid traffic tickets. Desperate to get out of jail, she called Dog, who was the bail bondsman sent the paperwork by bus, which left Beth in jail for 12 hours. When she finally arrived at his office, she tried to act calm, but Dog could see through her. Beth later confessed that she was really attracted to him and wanted to be with him. There was strong chemistry between Dog and Beth, but their relationship faced difficulties because of his previous marriages. Dog and Beth stayed close even though he was dealing with addiction. In 1997, Dog, his children, and Beth all moved in together. They got married and started a successful bail bonds business named Duane Bail Bonds. Their big opportunity happened in 2003 when they helped catch Andrew Luster, who was set to inherit the Max Factor wealth. Luster was wanted for sexually abusing several women, and Dog located him in Mexico. Bounty hunting is against the law there, so Dog was caught at the border. He had to pay bail to free himself and his team from jail. The funny part of the situation was that Dog couldn't properly arrest anyone in the U.S. because of his criminal record. A member of the Florida Bail Bondsman Association said that his acts could be seen as kidnapping. Even with the judicial difficulties, Dog became very well known after being captured. Dog the Bounty Hunter started airing on A&E in 2004, and people quickly became fans. For almost 10 years, fans watched Dog chase down criminals and deal with risky situations. His wild hair, constant sunglasses, and big personality became his trademark style. Dog later said that he chose his look to scare people who were running away from the law. Beth often stressed that their show was not only about catching crooks, but mainly about helping people and offering them second chances. The show was very popular. But Dog's strong attitude, which helped him gain fame, also caused problems. In 2007, Dog received criticism after a private phone call with his son was made public. During the conversation, Dog used a racist word and worried it might harm his job if people found out. The National Enquirer released the tape, and people reacted quickly. A&E paused the show and started a probe. Dog apologized to the public, recognizing that his words hurt people and promised to improve. He was on CNN saying he felt sorry and promised not to use that term again. His honesty convinced the network, and the show came back on the air. With his long blonde hair, cool sunglasses, and Beth's amazing skill to catch criminals in high heels, Dog the Bounty Hunter became very popular. The family's pep talks before each task were memorable, and the show was a favorite among fans for 8 years. A&E surprised everyone by canceling the show, even though many people still liked it. Fans were shocked. After leaving A&E, the Chapman family started a new journey with their show Dog and Beth on the Hunt on CMT. It was a new beginning, but there were still difficulties along the way. The family loved the bail bond business, but it faced big challenges. Because of this, they had to pause filming to focus on protecting the job they cared about. After taking a short break from TV, Dog and Beth came back, but this time they were sharing something much more personal and sad. Beth was diagnosed with throat cancer in 2017. She told her friends the news in a heartfelt letter, promising to fight as hard as she could. After the surgery to remove a growth, there was a brief feeling of hope. By November, Beth was declared cancer-free, and it looked like the hardest times were over for them. But their relief was sadly short-lived. A year later, Beth had another surgery and learned the upsetting news that her cancer had come back and spread to her lungs. Even with the bad news, Beth wouldn't give up. By late 2018, she saw the struggle as just another obstacle to overcome and was motivated to keep moving ahead. Beth died on June 26, 2019. Dwayne announced that she had passed away and was very loved. In her last moments, Beth didn't want to see him. The dog thought it was important to help him stay strong because she knew he was feeling hopeless. He tried to make her feel better by telling her she would be fine, even though he secretly wondered why people say that when they know it might not be true. Her loss felt incredibly heavy, and he was clearly very sad about it. In the end, Beth asked Dog to let her leave. He found it hard to accept and couldn't picture life without her. But before he could answer, she breathed her last breath. Beth's death affected Dog more than anyone else. In an emotional interview with Dr. Oz, he opened up about the darkest moment of his grief, sharing how he couldn't stop crying and even considered taking a handful of pills. Luckily, he decided not to do it, but it showed how much he was suffering. In addition to his emotional pain, Dog was dealing with major money problems. He told the Toronto Star that Beth's hospital expenses and the costs of taking care of their big family had used up all his money. He was close to losing his home because he couldn't pay the payment. It was a hard time, and losing Beth made things even more difficult. A few months after she died, Dog began having chest pains and difficulty breathing. At first, he dismissed it, believing it was just grief and that his heart really did feel broken. He told Fox 31 Denver that he thought his symptoms were just in his head, but when they didn't go away, he chose to get medical help. Like many guys his age, Dog often overlooked health issues. Beth always encouraged him to take care of himself, and now that she's not around, he's not focusing on his health. Luckily, Dr. Oz intervened and encouraged him to get some important tests done. They recorded the process on his show, showing how important it is to pay attention to these health problems. The dog said he has been a heavy smoker since he was 12 years old, smoking 3.5 packs a day for more than 40 years. Despite this, Experts discovered that his heart was actually quite healthy, but there was a big problem. A blood clot in his lungs called a pulmonary embolism. Dr. Oz stated that this condition is very dangerous because the clot cuts off blood flow to the lungs, which can be life-threatening. Dog decided to quit smoking and was committed to making a change. He began using nicotine patches and decided to go to therapy to deal with the feelings causing his problems. With Dr. Oz and his team's support, Dog started to change his life. After facing these challenges, Dog the Bounty Hunter got a new show called Dog's Most Wanted on WGN. Dog earned his name by capturing some of the most dangerous criminals in the country. One of his notable arrests was Leonard Trudeau Jr., who has a long record of crimes like armed robbery and attacking a police officer. Trudeau was trying to escape, but Dog and his team were set on finding him. The hunt was difficult. They tracked Trudeau across southern Colorado for 12 long days, determined not to lose him. As the team got closer, they sent a strong message that made it clear Trudeau's time was over. They were correct. When they finally caught him, it wasn't a quiet arrest. Trudeau got into a fight and ended up with a cut on his head. While he was yelling insults, Dog and his team stayed strong, playfully calling themselves God's gangsters. Life for Dog changed in surprising ways after Beth died. 7 months later, people started talking about him dating Moon Angel, a friend of the family. The news caused a stir, leading Lissa, his daughter, to go on social media. She labeled Angel as a homewrecker and accused Dog of being insincere. Dog later said that Angel had supported him during a difficult period. Things became even more surprising when Dog proposed to Angel on live TV during an emotional moment on the Dr. Oz show. She looked very surprised and kept saying they were just friends. Dog later explained that the proposal wasn't meant to be taken seriously. It was just a way to see how people would respond. Despite the confusion, the two never got married. After Beth died, Dog said he wouldn't get remarried, but things changed. He finally met Francie Frayne, who, like Dog, was mourning the death of her husband. They bonded through their experiences of loss and offered each other support. Dog proposed in May 2020, and they got married in September 2021. Dog is in the news again as he starts a new journey as a Christian influencer, but he still keeps his background in bounty hunting.